All right, today we are diving deep into Natera's latest numbers, and wow, they are something else. We're talking about a fourth quarter for 2025 that shows some seriously explosive growth. So, what's behind all this? What's the real story behind these numbers? Let's get into it. First things first, to really get what's going on here, we gotta look at the big picture. Because the scale of Natera's growth, it's just off the charts. It's so easy to just throw around percentages. But 40% year-over-year growth, what does that actually look like for a company like this? It's not just a small bump. It's like they've hit a whole new level. Well, it looks a lot like this, about $666 million. And that's not for the whole year. That's just for the fourth quarter of 2025. I mean, that is a huge jump from where they were just a year ago. Now, this chart is where it gets really interesting, because it tells a story, right? This wasn't some fluke, not just one lucky quarter. Just look at that trajectory over the past 5 years. It's a steep, steady climb. They're not just growing, they're accelerating. So where's all this money coming from? It's not magic. It's coming from a massive surge in doctors and patients actually using their tests. We're talking around 225,000 clinical MRD tests, that's minimal residual disease, in just the last quarter. That's up 56% from the year before. And think about it. Every single one of those tests means a doctor is getting a much, much clearer picture of what's going on inside their patient. Okay, so how are they doing this? What's the secret sauce? Let's peel back the layers and look at the actual science that's powering all this momentum. So a huge part of their cancer-related success revolves around this idea of minimal residual disease, or MRD. So picture this. After cancer treatment, these tiny microscopic cancer cells can be left behind just hiding out. Natera's tests, they're like this super sensitive surveillance system for your bloodstream. They can find the tiniest genetic fingerprints of these leftover cells way, way before they have a chance to grow back and cause a relapse. In this timeline right here, man, it shows how they've put that science into action. 2025 was just a year of nonstop execution for them. Look at it, every quarter another major win. Q1, they launched Natera Genome, then boom, new Medicare coverage for lung cancer. Then they dropped their own AI models, and they cap it off in Q4 by acquiring Foresight Diagnostics. I mean, they were just firing on all cylinders all year long. Okay, so we've seen the numbers, we've seen the tech, but how does this all translate into actually helping people? Let's look at the real-world impact, starting with their big one in oncology, Signera. This is honestly one of the biggest questions in cancer care today. Can we move beyond a one-size-fits-all approach? Can we give a patient exactly the amount of treatment they need and nothing more? Can we spare them from the awful side effects of chemo if they don't actually need it? Well, a recent study on head and neck cancer gave a really powerful answer. Using the Signatera test to see how well treatment was working, a whopping 74% of patients were able to safely cut back on their chemo. Just think about that for a second. Instead of the standard 6 cycles, they got, on average, just 2. And the best part? They had way, way less of those severe toxic side effects. And the study's conclusion really just nails it. This is about completely changing the patient's journey, making cancer treatment not just more powerful, but frankly, more human. But here's the thing. This tech, this ability to find these tiny signals in a blood sample, it's not just for cancer. The same idea is now spreading out into other areas of medicine, bringing that same kind of personalized insight to completely new groups of patients. Okay, think about this. If you've had an organ transplant, you're constantly worried about your body rejecting it. The standard way to check for that is with frequent invasive biopsies. And those aren't just uncomfortable, they come with real risks. So you have to wonder, is there a better way? Turns out, yes, there is. A study using their Prospera test for lung transplant patients showed that a simple blood test could figure out who was at low risk for rejection. And the result? More than 75% of those patients got to safely skip their scheduled invasive biopsy. No difference in their health outcomes, just a massive reduction in risk, pain, and anxiety. That's a game changer. And they're doing it in women's health too. Their new fetal focus test, it's basically setting a new bar for accuracy in prenatal screening. It uses their own unique technology, and in a big clinical trial, it showed incredible sensitivity and specificity for finding certain genetic conditions. We're talking clearer, more reliable answers for expecting parents, all from one simple blood test. So with all this incredible momentum in cancer, in organ health, and women's health, you have to ask, what's next? Where do they go from here? Let's take a look at their own forecast. Their outlook for 2026 is, pretty bold. They're projecting revenue to soar up to $2.7 billion. But here's the number that really jumps out at me. That R&D spending. They plan to pour as much as $850 million right back into research. And they're going to do it while staying cash flow positive. So in other words, they're using today's success to bankroll tomorrow's breakthroughs. And a huge piece of that future plan is their recent pickup of Foresight Diagnostics. The goal here is pretty simple, but it's incredibly ambitious. Make their tests even more sensitive. Find even tinier traces of disease. Basically, unlock that next level of what personalized medicine can do. When you step back and look at it, by turning a simple tube of blood into this unbelievably rich source of information, Natera is really changing the game. They're changing how we find disease, how we guide treatment, how we manage our health. It really makes you wonder, is this it? Is this what the future of truly personalized medicine actually looks like? Well, based on these numbers, it feels like we're getting closer every single day.